I'm Master Chief Mark Hackala. I spent 30 years in the Navy, but I've spent my whole life being intrigued by naval customs, traditions, history, heritage, and uniforms. So I'd like to share some of that enthusiasm with you using some items in my personal collection to get us started. Let's see what's in the sea chest today.
The Challenge Coin. Challenge coins are ubiquitous. They're an ingrained part of modern military culture. The origins of challenge coins are shrouded in mystery. Go online and do a search for the origins of the challenge coin, and you will find that people have attributed their beginnings to numerous periods in time, dating from the ancient Romans to the Renaissance, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. And you'll see some of these stories repeated multiple times on multiple websites, but never with a reference, a source, or a footnote. Suffice it to say that by the mid to late 1990s, challenge coins were becoming so popular that you could find them all over the place. Typically, these medallions, about the size of a silver dollar, were personal coins from senior leaders. These would be presented to a subordinate in a handshake as a thank you and a recognition for a job well done, one not calling for an actual military medal. In the late 1990s, the typical challenge coin was bronze and usually featured raised two-dimensional graphics. As they became more popular, makers would do three-dimensional graphics, then color, then unusual shapes, up to and including some rather functional items. Over time, they would eventually become huge and outlandish, looking like sometimes a cross between a serving tray or a country western belt buckle. The story is usually told that the purpose of challenge coins is that every member of a unit who has a coin has to have it on their person at all times, so that if somebody challenges everyone to go ahead and produce their coin, if you don't have your coin, well, guess what? You're buying the bar a round of beer. If, on the other hand, you challenge me and I produce my coin, you're buying the beer. This custom isn't really followed most places nowadays, but that's where we get the title challenge coin. Over the years, I have acquired over 300 coins. I'm not going to go into too much detail about all of these, but I've organized them into groups of different organizations, and just take a look at some of these, see the similarities, see the differences, but as I said, we're not going too deep into this. This is just an opportunity for some folks to see the diversity of the different kinds of coins that have been produced, that are being produced, and that people have handed out for several decades. It's common for Chief Petty Officers Messes or Chief Petty Officers Association to create their own coins. Here are several. Among the non-military coins I've acquired are those from the Department of Veterans Affairs, the FBI, the CIA, the House of Representatives, and a couple from the National Park Service. Another common kind of coin is that for milestone anniversaries or annual birthday balls for different military organizations. At the top in the blue case, you'll see one that I had made up for the 100th anniversary of the U.S. Navy Hospital. This was cast by a mint in .999 silver, so sometimes you find these that are actually made out of precious metal. The large one was actually cast by the U.S. Mint. This was to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of the United States Navy. Others here include a commemorative coin for 9/11 and one to mark the 50th anniversary of the Korean War. There are numerous military organizations that put together all the plans for military participation in the inauguration of the president. And these organizations will usually have a commemorative coin made. Here you see coins from the 54th presidential inauguration, George W. Bush, 2001, The 55th, Bush, 2005. The 56th, Barack Obama, 2009. The 57th, also Barack Obama, 2013. And the 58th inauguration, Donald Trump in 2017. I have just a few coins from foreign militaries. You see several from the Essex and Kent Scottish Regiment of Canada. That was my late father-in-law's regiment. You also see one for the Royal Australian Navy, which has handily been designed to be a bottle opener as well. There's also one from NATO and one from the Chief of Naval Operations of the Republic of Korea Navy. I have a handful of coins from other military services. Here you see ones for Marine Barracks Washington, 8th and I, the Marine Forces Reserve, the 101st Airborne Division. I did some work with them during a deployment at one point. Battery B, 4th U.S. Artillery, which has an illustrious history. During the Civil War, they were co-located most of the time with the famed Iron Brigade. And a coin from the U.S. Coast Guard. Here are several coins from Navy schools. Here's the Naval School of the Health Sciences, the Naval Hospital Corps School at Great Lakes, Illinois, no longer there, the Navy Senior Enlisted Academy, the Naval War College, the U.S. Naval Academy, and SEER School, Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. Here are a few from bases and shore commands. Submarine Base Groton, Connecticut, Information Services Center Hopper, Naval Air Station Patuxent River, Maryland, Naval Support Activity La Maddalena, Sardinia, and Naval Ocean Processing Facility Dam Neck, Virginia. Most people don't realize that the U.S. Navy has several groups of sailors that directly support the President. In the West Wing of the White House, there is a restaurant that is run by people wearing suits and ties, but every one of them is a U.S. Navy culinary specialist. The White House Communications Agency ensures that the President can communicate securely with world leaders wherever he is. And a big surprise to most people is that the presidential retreat at Camp David, Maryland, is actually run by the Navy. The reason for this is that there used to be a presidential yacht that was run by the Navy. Once the presidents no longer had yachts, there was something else that was similar. It was a getaway, it was an escape, and it was Camp David. And so they just logically moved Navy personnel over to maintain the facility. Here's some coins from Navy medical units, starting with the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, BUMED, hospitals at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, Cherry Point, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, the Marine Corps Medical Support, and the Naval Health Clinic in Corpus Christi, Texas. Here's a collection of coins from various ships, including destroyers, submarines, amphibious ships, and a hospital ship. Here are coins from USS Constitution, old Ironssides. This is the oldest commissioned warship in the world. And I've always loved their simple, one-word motto, undefeated. Here we have some coins from various aviation units. We have Carrier Air Wing 3, Air Test and Evaluation Squadron 2-3, VX-23, Air Test and Evaluation Squadron 1, Patrol Squadron 92, and Torpedo Bomber Squadron 29. These coins are from aircraft carriers, including USS John F. Kennedy, USS Nimitz, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, USS Carl Vinson, USS Theodore Roosevelt, USS George Washington, USS John C. Stennis, USS Ronald Reagan, and USS George H.W. Bush. Here are some coins from a CB unit and some special warfare units. We have Explosive Ordnance Disposal. We have Special Boat Unit 12. USS Monsoon, PC-4. It's a patrol craft. We have the Joint Special Ops Medical Training Center at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This is where all of the medics from Air Force Pararescue, from the Army Green Berets, and Navy SEALs train. There's one from SEAL Team 2, and two of the members of the staff of the Joint Medical Ops Training Center were Navy SEALs, and they'd been hospital corpsmen, and so they asked me to come down and do a presentation. So on two of these coins, they had my name engraved. And then finally, there's Naval Special Warfare Development Group. You'll notice that there are 6 stars. So this is the one that's usually called SEAL Team 6. Here's some coins from Command Master Chiefs. Now, I've seen where this isn't universal, but it is common. Some places, if a Command Master Chief gives one of his sailors a coin, that means an extra day off on the weekend. Here we see 2 Marine Expeditionary Force, Naval Sea Systems Command, Navy Region Mid-Atlantic, Navy Medical Center, Portsmouth, the staff of the Office of the Chief of Naval Operations, OPNAV, U.S. Naval Academy, USS Constitution, U.S. Navy Ceremonial Guard, and Recruiting Command, Navy Region East. Here's some coins moving up the ladder to Fleet and Force Master Chiefs. They're above Command Master Chiefs. They usually handle a whole community, a region, an area, and so on and so forth. We have Fleet Forces Command, Atlantic Fleet, 2nd Fleet, the Force Master Chief of the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, and the Force of the Navy Reserve Force. I've gotten a couple from the senior enlisted leaders of a couple other military services, including the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps and the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard. Interesting thing there, he and I both discovered that, not at the same time, but several years apart, we had both drilled with the exact same Naval Sea Cadet Corps unit in Detroit. Here are coins from the U.S. Navy's top enlisted leader, the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, abbreviated MCPON. I have coins from MCPON number 3, Bob Walker, MCPON number 8, John Hagan, number 9, Jim Hurt, number 10, Terry Scott, number 11, Joe Campa, 12, Rick West, 13, Mike Stevens, and 14, Steve Giordano. Here's a few coins from Vice Admirals, 3-star, and Rear Admirals, 2 and 1-star. We have the Surgeon General of the Navy / Chief of the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, a 3-star. Chief of Navy Reserve, that's also a 3-star. 2nd Fleet, the Deputy Judge Advocate General of the Navy, and the Commandant of Naval District, Washington. Here's a few from major commands and positions. Commander, Navy Meteorology and Oceanography Command. The Deputy Surgeon General for Reserve Affairs. Commander, Submarine Force. A NATO representative, and the U.S. Joint Forces Command. These coins are from heads of major commands. Navy Reserve Force, the Bureau of Naval Personnel, Naval Air Systems Command, the Bureau of Medicine and Surgery, Naval Personnel Command, Naval Criminal Investigative Service, the Military Sea Lift Command, and the Center for Surface Combat Systems. These 3 coins were from Commandants of the Marine Corps. And the first one on the left is my most treasured. That's from General Al Gray, who was my commanding general when I was in Beirut in 1983. And I'd go out on a limb to say that General Gray is the most beloved Marine in history. The Chief of Naval Operations, CNO. I have 4 CNO coins, one from Admiral J. Johnson, Admiral Mike Mullen, Admiral Gary Ruffhead, and Admiral Jonathan Greenert. Here we have a couple of coins from Secretary of Defense and Secretaries of the Navy. We have William Cohen, John Dalton, and Donald Winter. Here are a couple that actually mean quite a bit to me. These are coins from Medal of Honor recipients. George Wallen was a pharmacist mate 2nd class, a hospital corpsman serving with the Marines on Iwo Jima in 1945. Master Chief Britt Slabinski was a Navy SEAL who only recently received his Medal of Honor. Finally, we have a handful of coins from the U.S. Navy Ceremonial Guard. The top 3 are all personal coins from different commanding officers who've headed the organization. The one on the far left is actually cast in solid silver. On the second row, the first one, the large one, is from the previous inauguration 4 years ago. The one next to it is the coin of the Chief's Mess of the Navy Ceremonial Guard. And on the bottom row are some very old Ceremonial Guard coins, and the one at the bottom right is always my favorite because this is the most creative I've ever seen in a coin in repurposing it into a tool. Kind of a cross between a Leatherman tool and a challenge coin.
Check back soon for more content. Thanks for watching.